My wedding date was August 20th, 2016. Planning a summer wedding can be kind of crazy, with the usual vacations and holidays and working around everyone's busy schedules. I was working full-time, plus trying on wedding dresses and deciding on flowers and choosing the menu and more. So when I continued to feel more and more run down as the summer went on, I assumed it had to be from all that was going on. I felt a deep sense of fatigue, unlike anything I'd felt before, along with occasional body aches, like when you have a cold or the flu, minus all the other symptoms. I found that taking a couple of ibuprofen or Tylenol took the edge off, and I could function pretty close to normal. By the time August 20th rolled around, I was taking the pills every 4 hours during the day. After a beautiful wedding day, I hoped that a slower pace would help me rejuvenate. However, 2 weeks later, I remember waking up one morning and thinking something was not right. I was always a healthy person leading up to this, so I didn't even see a primary care physician regularly. So that next week, I went to the urgent care. They did some basic blood tests and found that my levels were inexplicably low and referred me to a hematologist right away. After a bone marrow biopsy that they thought looked good, it took another 3 weeks to peg what was going on. I remember the hematologist telling me he wanted me to get a PET CT scan done. When he said that, I knew he was looking for cancer. You see, 2 of my younger sisters had undergone treatment for lymphoma in 2012 and 2015. I hadn't guessed that was going on with me, though, because while they both had swollen lymph nodes and felt fine leading up to diagnosis. In fact, one of my sisters ran a half marathon less than a week before starting chemotherapy. I was experiencing different symptoms and was feeling sicker by the day. Also, lymphoma is not typically a familial cancer, though my family has definitely become an anomaly with my dad's additional diagnosis of lymphoma in 2018. The scan revealed what no young, newly married woman wants to hear: stage 4 non-Hodgkin lymphoma. I was devastated. I couldn't believe it was really happening in a mere 6 weeks after I got married. But I remembered something my mom always told her children growing up: you can do hard things. So I took that into my mind and got ready to charge ahead. Chemotherapy started within 2 weeks, but it wasn't smooth sailing after that. A month into treatment, when I should have been feeling a bit better, I was getting unexplainable fevers. After many nights in the hospital, we discovered the chemotherapy wasn't working and the cancer was still growing. My only thought when I heard this news was, okay, what do we do next? I started on a new regime of much more intense chemotherapy that required me to stay several nights in the hospital at a time. My sweet new husband stayed every single night with me and ate enough hospital food to last both our lifetimes. One of the treatments was over New Year's, and we had the world's quietest New Year's Eve party at 8 p.m. before I zonked out from all the Ativan. After 2 cycles of the new chemo, I was thankfully starting to improve. My last chemotherapy treatment was at the end of January. Then it was time to prepare for a bone marrow transplant. I was lucky to be matched with an unknown donor and was admitted to the hospital in March of 2017 for 29 days. Those were some of the hardest days of my life. I was so sick and couldn't leave my room for most of it. Going home at the end of that stay was one of the best feelings, and I remember crying when I got home. The next 5 months were so slow on the recovery front. I remember at 6 months post-transplant, having a few days in a row where I woke up and didn't feel sick, and being so excited when those days continued. Today, I am 3.5 years post-transplant, and have had clean scans and excellent blood tests, and so much gratitude for good health. Everyone knows someone who has had cancer, but it's not the same as having cancer. When you are diagnosed with cancer, everyone comes out of the woodwork to rally around you, and it's amazing to see and feel the love and the support. It buoys you up and makes you feel like you are strong enough to tackle the mountain looming in front of you. Then, as the shock wears off, people get back to normal life, and it can start to feel somewhat lonely. That's totally understandable, but I remember how meaningful it was to have people send a little package or a note or even a thoughtful text to show that they were thinking of and praying for me, even months into the treatment. It was such an appreciated boost. If I was to give advice to someone who knows a friend or a loved one going through cancer, it would be to remember that for them, it's a very long, scary, exhausting road. Don't forget that the hard days are many, and show them that you're still there throughout the whole process, not just the beginning. This is applicable in more situations than just cancer. Many, many people are working through things, like other illnesses or tragedies, that last a lot longer than the initial shock. And to those going through a cancer diagnosis personally, turn to your loved ones and God for support. Be pleasant and kind to the doctors and nurses and those who are helping you, even when you don't feel well. And remember, you can do hard things too.